In the last class, I have discussed about this sheet pile design. So, I have discussed of cantilever sheet pile. Now, I was discussing about this anchor sheet pile and the fixed support method that I was discussing. Now, in the fixed support method or fixed earth support method that is discussed here. Actually, the proposed earth pressure distribution that was taken here and then that was simplified and we consider two different beam during the design. That means, this was the simplified form of earth pressure distribution. So, if this is sheet pile, this was the simplified earth pressure distribution. Now, this is the position of the anchor. If this is A is the top, D is the position of the anchor, E is the dredge level, I is the point of counterfracture where moment is 0 and G is the point where this force is, this stress is maximum. So, these were the assume this was the simplified earth pressure distribution that was considered. So, these things was discussed in last class. So, now here if I draw the bending moment diagram of this portion, then this is the this here it is maximum, then at I point this value is 0, then this will follow this path. So, this is the G, again this I point, this is E point and this portion, this is where it is maximum D point, this is A point. So, this is the pressure distribution and this is BMD. Then two different beam was considered, one from A to I, this is A to I, this is the same E point and this is same D point where the force F is acting, this F is the anchor force, and another one is from I to G. So, this is beam 1 and this is beam 2. Now, what are the forces which is acting here? This is the reaction force R 1 is acting, the same force in opposite direction R 1 is acting in beam 2 and then R g is acting in the G point. So, this R g is the reaction force at G point, R 1 is the reaction force at the G I point for the beam 2, and then R 1 is the reaction of the I point in for beam 1 and F is the anchored force. So, these are the forces. Now, we have to start design of this method. Now, one thing that we can notice that here this value where this point is 0, sorry, this is the I point where bending moment is 0. So, this will be the I point. So, this is the I point, not this one. So, this point is where value is A and the I point is the point where bending moment is 0. And then this distance is A where the stress is 0 from the dredge level and I is the point where BMD is 0 from the dredge level. So, I is the point where bending moment is 0. Okay. So, now if I consider these two things and then we simplify how to calculate these forces, then first if I take that this is our, again if I consider that same distribution, that is this is dredge level, then this is the diagram G, this is maybe the I point, this is E point, this is the anchored force is acting D point, this is A point. The same force diagram we are considering here, the forces are acting is in this direction, here it is acting in this direction. Now, if this distance or stress is 0, then this is A and this I point from the dredge level is say I, distance of the I point from the dredge level is I. Now, so, if I take two beams, then we have this is our first beam, this is beam 1 and this is from A to I, and that beam if I draw the diagram. So, this is the dredge level is here, say this is a E point, and then this lower part portion. So, this is the pressure distribution diagram for beam 1 from A to I. And what are the forces is acting here? So, one is force which is F acting at D point, this is A, this is E, this is I. So, this is F. Then the reaction force is acting here R 1, then the P force which is the force due to this pressure is acting here, this is P 1. So, these are the forces which is acting. This P 1 is the external force which is acting here. Say this P 1 is at a distance of y bar from D point. Now, this P 1 can be calculated. The P 1 is the total force acting due to this zone from A to I. So, we can divide it one triangle, then another triangle here and this one rectangle, and then we can calculate what are the forces here. So, this P A E, say suppose this portion P A E. So, P A E is equal to active pressure at E level or E point. So, that we can determine. So, for this one, this will be the P A E will be K A into gamma into h, if h is the height of this point I, point E from the A. So, h is equal to A E distance. Then this is I point and these are the forces. Now, for similarly for beam 2, which is I to G, where the force diagram is this I to G. So, this small portion and this one. So, this is a small portion and this one. So, here forces is acting in this direction, here forces are acting in this direction. So, now if consider the forces which is acting for this I to G, then this is the reaction force R G is acting, this is the same R 1 is acting in opposite direction, and then this P 2 that will act for this small portion stress, this P 2, and here for this one another force P 3 will act. So, these are the pressure distribution and forces in beam 1 and beam 2. Now, we have to determine the values of these forces. Suppose this distance is from here to 0 point is A, E to this point, suppose this is O, similarly this is also O. So, E to O is, that means E O is equal to A and E I is equal to I. Then we can write that I O is equal to A minus I. So, this distance is A minus I. Similarly, total distance, if I consider that from E to G is D, that E to G that is equal to D, and this D. So, we can write that this total one E to D is G and this E to O, E to O is A. So, we can write O to G is equal to D minus A. So, this distance also D minus A. Now, what are the forces that will act? So, first if I consider that beam 1, consider this beam 1 and taking the moment at anchor level or rod level, that is equal to 0. So, if I consider in that form, then we can write that P 1 into y bar that is equal to R 1 into h, and if this distance from E A to D is E. So, this distance A to D that is equal to E. So, that means this distance total one is from up to E point, it is h minus E, then E to I is I. So, plus I. So, we can write that R 1 value is P 1 into y bar divided by h minus E plus I. So, we can write this is this R 1 is P y bar h minus E plus I. Now, here is P is known, P 1 is known, y bar is known, h is known, E is known, because we know the position of this anchor, but I is unknown. So, how to calculate the I? So, that first we will decide. So, to calculate the I, we have to take the help of one graph. So, that graph we can draw here. Okay. So, this is 20 degree, this is 25 degree, this is 30 degree, this is 35 degree, and this is 40 degree. Similarly, this is 0.1, this is 0.2, this is 0.3. Now, in this axis, this is phi is in this direction and I by h is in this direction. Now, this if I draw the graph, so this will be the graph. So, here if I know the value of phi, if I know the value of h, then from this graph we can determine the I. So, any problem the phi value is known for a particular site, h is also known. So, we can determine this I value. So, that means the expression that we have derived, that R 1 is equal to P 1 into y bar divided by h minus E plus I. So, in this expression now I is known from this graph, then E is known, H is known. So, we can determine R 1. So, that is known. So, now from this beam 1, so that means what are the forces that is. So, this is the beam 1, again if I draw. So, this is the F force acting at the D level, this is A, and then the P that will act for this external pressure. So, that is y bar. So, this is P 1 and then will act this R 1. So, here this R 1 is known, P is known. Now, this F we have to determine. So, from this expression we will get the R 1, P 1 is known, we will get the distribution now. So, this way what will be the pressure at. Similarly, if I draw the pressure distribution diagram of this beam 1. So, at this point this is the diagram. So, this is D may be in this, E point is this one and this is I point. So, at E point so this is the diagram. So, as I have discussed that at the E point this is P A E. Similarly, this value at the I point we can determine that is P 0. So, now we can determine P 0 linearly interpolating this value, that is our P A E divided by I So, this is P A E, this is divided by total A, that is equal to P 0 divided by A minus I. Because the total distribution, if we see this is up to I distance. So, now if I draw the total distribution, so this is E point, so this will go up to here. So, at this point this is P 0 at I point. So, this is the point where the stress is 0, that is O point. So, this is E point, this is D point and this is A point. So, now if I linearly interpolate this thing, this is P A E. So, P A E, this total distance is A and this up to I is I. So, P A E divided by A, that is equal to P 0 divided by A minus I. So, from this expression we can determine P 0 value is P A E divided by A into A minus 1. So, for this expression P 0 is also known. So, once we get this I value, so what we have to do, that our PAE is known, then A is known, and how we will calculate this A? A is simply that expression PAE into Kp minus Ka into gamma. So, that thing is was already, we have already discussed, that we can determine this point where the distance of the point where the stress value is 0 from the dredge level, that is A. So, that A we can determine this PAE, the active pressure at dredge level, divided by difference of two coefficient of the earth pressure in passive earth pressure minus active earth pressure into gamma. So, that means, from this expression the A we can determine, if I put this A and if I determine this value of I from this graph. So, we will determine the I from this graph, then we use determine the A value from this expression. So, in this expression all the quantities on the right side are known. So, we will get this A value, we will get I value from this graph. So, we will put these things in this expression, we will get the P 0 value. So, that means, this is our expression 2, this is our expression 3. So, we will from this expression 2 we will get the P 0 value. Once we get the P 0 value, then we can determine what is the total force P 1 is acting due to this pressure diagram. So, then we can determine the P 1 as well as the y bar. So, once we get the P 1 and y bar, then from equation 1 we can determine the R 1. So, now these are the values that we know. So, from this, when you go for the second beam, that R 1 should be required, because R 1 will act in the second beam also as a reaction force. So, now in the second beam R 1 and P 0 will be required. So, now if I go for the second beam, so this is the second beam or beam 2. So, this is the expression, this is P 0 at I point, this is O point and this is G point, this is say P 2 or stress. So, now forces that is acting in this beam, that is R g reaction force. Similarly, R 1 is coming from the top beam 1 and then the P 3 total force and then the P 2 for this triangle, small triangle, and this P 3 for this bigger triangle. So, this will act in this direction and these stresses will act in this direction. So, distance is here, as I have mentioned, that is A minus I, and this distance from O to G is D minus A. So, now for the second beam, if I write the expression that moment at G level is 0. If I take the moment at the G level, that is 0. So, now if I take the moment, then the P 3 value is the area of this triangle, that means half into P 2 into D minus A, and that will act a distance of D minus A by 3. So, this is also D minus A divided by 3. So, that is equal to minus R 1 into D minus I, because the total one for the beam 2 is D minus I. Okay, so, this is D minus I, then minus P 2 is the force. So, that is acting the distance of d minus a, then plus 2/3 of a minus I. So, that is equal to 0. So, 2/3 of a minus I of this small triangle. Now, from this expression your d is unknown, which you have to calculate, a is known, then R 1 is known from the expression 1, then I is known. So, P 2 we can determine that P 2 value, the stress P 2 we can determine that if this is P 0 and the stress P 2 from these two similar triangle, we can determine that P 2 force, I mean this value we can determine that capital P 2, this P 2, capital P 2 is equal to half into P 0 into A minus I. So, half into P 0 into A minus I. Similarly, P 3, capital P 3 is equal to half into gamma into small p 2 into small p 2, half into small p 2 into d minus a, half into small p 2 is this value. Now, small p 2 is gamma, in this value is gamma into k p minus k into d minus a. So, that this value how to calculate small t p 2, that is also been discussed in the previous classes. So, that is gamma of this level into difference of the two coefficient into that height d minus a. So, if I put this value, the capital P 3 value is half into gamma into k p minus k into d a d minus a whole square. So, in the this previous expression number 4, if I put this value in expression 4, then this value is half into gamma into k p minus k into d minus a to the power 3 divided by 3 minus r 1 into d minus I minus p 2 into d minus a plus 2/3 of a minus I. So, that is equal to 0. So, this expression you will get by putting all this value in expression 4, and final expression that we will get that 1 by 6 gamma k p minus k into d minus a to the power cube minus r 1 d minus I minus p 2 into 1/3 into 3 d minus a minus 2 I, that is equal to 0. So, then we will get this final fifth expression. So, in this expression our only unknown is d, because I is known from the graph, a is known from the expression, then p 2 is known from this expression capital P 2, where p 0 is known, a is known, I is known. Then R 1 is known from the previous beam 1, I is known. So, all this expression in this, so all the parameters are known except this d. So, by using expression 5 we determine this d value. So, using expression 5 determine the d value. So, determine d value, then increase it by 40% to 20%. So, we will increase this d value by 20 to 40%. So, now this depth, required depth we have calculated, Now, we have to calculate the forces which is acting here. So, the F forces F from this beam 1 we can determine. If I see the beam 1, so this is our D position, which is F or anchor force. This is A position, this is the F 1 or R 1 position, and this is the force P 1 it act. So, F we can determine is equal to P 1 minus R 1. So, from this P 1 is known, that is the forces, and R 1 we can determine by equation 1. So, once we get this value, we can, so one is R 1 is known, P 1 is known, then we can determine the F force also, and we can determine by using the expression 5, we can determine the depth required for this sheet pile. So, these are the two different methods, one is our free earth support method, another is fixed earth support method. So, in these two methods we can determine the required depth of the sheet pile. So, in the next section here I will discuss that one another important thing, that is our base excavation. By using this sheet pile, we can construct one very important geotechnical structure, that is our base excavation. So, this type of base excavation is required for the excavation purpose or very deep excavation purpose, where these lateral support are provided by sheet pile, and in between the sheet pile we can provide some additional component, that is called strut, to give additional support to the system. Now, what is sheet base excavation? Suppose if we have one excavation level in this form, this is a existing ground level, and here this is the bottom of the excavated area. So, this portion is excavated where soil is taken out. So, now for this lateral support we can provide the sheet pile here for this base excavation. So, we can provide the sheet pile, we can provide the sheet pile this side also, and this is the existing, this is the ground base excavation ground excavated, and then in this area we can provide as lateral support, or that is these horizontal components. So, depending upon the depth of this excavation area, we can determine how, what is the number of this horizontal support will be required. So, this type of, this is the sheet pile, these components are called compressive member, or this is called strut. So, these struts are providing additional support to this sheet pile, so that they can sustain or they can take the load laterally which is coming from this two side. So, now what are the things that we have to determine during the design of this base excavation? One thing that is very important, that first we have to decide the depth of the excavated area. So, this is suppose the depth of the excavation, this is the width of the excavation. So, now the very important 4 parameters that we have to. So, these things, this is the width of the excavation, B width, these the depth. So, these things, suppose these D and B are fixed before the design. So, that means you have to provide this B and you have to provide this D, that is fixed. Now, what are the very important things or design parameters you say? So, design parameter we can say that what will be the thickness of the sheet pile, or that is the thickness of the sheet pile. So, that means what is the thickness of the sheet pile or support lateral, I should say that what is the thickness of the lateral support. That means, based on this thickness what is the stiffness of this lateral support or the stiffness So, this is one design parameter. Another design parameter, the position of this struts. So, where we will place this strut, what is the spacing between two struts. So, this is our another very important design parameter. So, these are the design parameters we can say. So, that means the position of the strut, position means the spacing, then the number of strut. So, these are the very important another design parameter. The next one is this depth of the lateral support below the base of the excavation. So, that means the small d below the base excavation, and another one is the stiffness of the strut. So, these are the things we have to decide before the during the design. So, that means what would be the position of the strut, what would the spacing between two struts, what would be the number of the strut. So, that depends upon that this depth d, depending upon this d, what would be the we can design the number of struts, we can design the spacing of this between the strut. Then the next one is the what would be the thickness or stiffness of the this lateral support, what will be the stiffness of these struts, and what would be the depth of this lateral support below the base of the excavation. So, these things we have to decide when during the design of this excavation. Now, what is the basis of then on what basis we can decide these parameters. So, one thing is that when we are talking about this base excavation, suppose if I draw the same figure here, so if I draw this same figure here, this is the start. So, now the things that we have to observe that should be within permissible limit, that this support will deflect. So, there is a lateral deformation of the support. So, lateral deformation So, that should be within permissible limit. That means, we cannot provide a huge lateral deformation of this system, that should be within permissible limit. So, these things we have to check. So, then next one is, due to this lateral deformation or this thing, this ground surface will deform. In this pattern, this ground surface will deform. So, vertical deformation of the ground. So, we will get this type of ground surface deformation. So, this ground surface deformation or vertical settlement of the ground vertical deformation of the ground, and that is also important, because if there is any existing structure is there. So, we have to design this system such that there is no such influence of this excavation on that existing structure, then there should not be any deformation. So, for that, this lateral support, lateral deformation of the support, then ground surface deformation, these are very important things. So, that we have to taken care during the design. The next one, what is the BM, bending moment of the lateral support. So, when you choose this section, then what is the maximum bending moment of this lateral support? Then what is the maximum force or forces in the start? So, start will be subjected when these two wall is deforming in this direction, and this is also deforming in this direction. So, this will give a compressive load or force to these struts. So, that means this maximum force in the strut So, these things we have to check during this design. I mean, there should not be a huge lateral deformation, that lateral deformation of the support should be within permissible limit, vertical settlement of the ground within permissible limit, the maximum bending moment, what is the maximum bending moment of this lateral support, and then what is the maximum stress of this forces acting in the start. So, these things you have to check during the design, and based on that we have to decide those design parameters, that means the what is be the stiffness or thickness of lateral support, then the position of the starts, then depth of the lateral support below the base of the excavation, then stiffness of the starts, and then of course, the this is the section of any base excavation. So, there is, if I draw this another view. So, this side, this another. So, these starts are provided with certain interval. So, that interval, one is as vertical spacing between the two start, another is that, because this is continuous, but these starts are not continuous. So, these are placed with certain interval in the longitudinal direction also. So, this is the spacing between in the vertical spacing, and another is the horizontal spacing between the these starts. So, that thing we have to also taken care during the design. So, now these are the design things that we have to decide. Now, for this simplified analysis of this type of system. So, now we have to go for the rigorous analysis when we are taking all these parameters during the design, and then we are taking, we should, that means first we have to check every time that if I consider this type of configuration, then what will be our design steps, what will be our settlement in the lateral direction, in the vertical direction. So, every time we have to check all these things. So, now then our aim of the design is that we should design a system such that the lateral deformation should be minimum, the vertical settlement should be minimum, and maximum bending moment is can be minimized, and start force is also can be minimized. So, all these things we can minimize, so that is our design should be an economical one. So, now for this one, first we will discuss a simplified method of during this design. Suppose if this is our lateral support and this is base excavation. then this is a sheet pile, and these are the starts. So, we are taking the half portion of this thing. So, then this is the base of the excavated ground, and we consider this value is H or D. Now, for this different type of soil condition, we can draw the pressure distribution, that means this pressure, because this side is soil, the soil is giving pressure to this lateral support, and then this lateral support is giving pressure to this start. So, that means there will be a force that will develop in these starts. So, that means we can, for the different type of soil, we have some different stress diagram. So, that depends upon the speed at which excavation is advanced, and then the type of the soil. Suppose if we have a soil that is sandy soil. So, first soil is sandy soil. So, here we can get, this is the distribution pressure 0.65 gamma H K A. So, that means this pressure diagram, this pressure, this is 0.65 gamma, gamma is the unit weight of this soil, gamma H into K, that is the lateral pressure distribution which is acting here. Suppose here this will be the direction. So, that depends upon the type of soil and the speed at which the excavation is going on. So, here K we can write 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi. Now, if the soil is firm clay or stiff clay, then the distribution will be different. So, then the total distribution pattern will be different. So, this is this value is 0.2 to 0.4 into gamma H. So, this is for your firm clay or stiff clay, okay, whose gamma into H, then Cu is less than equal to 4. This is another condition. So, that means here this value is H by 4, this is also H by 4. So, that means this one is H by 12. So, this force will also, this stress will also act in this direction. Now, if the soil is soft clay, then the distribution will be different. So, this is the stress that will act. So, that means here 0.2 to 0.4 gamma into H, and here the distribution value, this is gamma into H minus 4 Cu. So, this is for soft clay to medium clay. So, that means gamma H divided by Cu greater than 4. So, this is another distribution, this is H by 4, and this value is 2/3 of H by 4. So, that means these are the three different distribution for the different type of soil. One is, this is if it is purely sandy soil, then this is for the firm clay, and this is for the soft to medium clay. Now, how to analyze these things to determine the forces in the start and this pattern? Suppose we have a base excavation system like this. This is our ground level, this is the base of the excavation, this is another side, and then we are taking the number of start is 4 at 4 different level. Okay, so now suppose if it is sandy soil, so we will get this type of distribution. Okay, this is the sand. So this is 0.65 into gamma into H into K. Now we can divide this total diagram or total this sheet pile lateral support in different number of beam or segment, where, so that means here if I consider one beam from up to the second support, and then from second to third. So, this is first start, this is the second start, this third start, this is the position of the fourth start. So, we are taking one beam from top to second start, and then another one second to third, another one third to bottom. So, there is 3 beam we have decided, one is from top to second start position, another is second to third and third to the bottom. So, we have the reaction for this second first start, that is 1, and the reaction, some reaction of this second start, that is R 2 dash, and then the second beam, there is another reaction for the second beam, that is R 2 double dash, some portion of the R 3 dash for the second beam, and for the third beam, that is R 3 double dash, and then for this beam R 4. So, these are the forces is acting. Now, if I get one by one these beams, so this is the first beam or beam 1. So, where we can draw the distribution or UDL whose density is 0.65, whose value is gamma H into Ka, and that is equal to Pa. So, what are the reactions? So, this is the reaction, that is R 2 dash, and then here this is R 1. Similarly, for the second beam, we consider this is Pa, again the same stress is acting, then the reaction is R 2 double dash, then R 3 dash. This is for beam 2. Now, for the third beam, the same P is acting, then this is R 3 double dash, and then the R 4 is acting here. So, these are the, this is beam 3. So, this we are taking 3 beams in this way. We can take the more number of beams if the number of starts are more, and you have to take different diagram for different stress distribution. So, now we have to take these 3, then we have to solve this, determine this R 2 dash R 1, because this UDL we know this distance between these two stars and this value, that is also known. So, now we have to determine the these reactions separately by considering this beam. So, this is one beam whose this spacing, this distance between two stars is known, this UDL is known. So, you can determine these two reactions. Similarly, for this beam 2 also, similarly for the beam 3. So, once we get all the reactions, then the force of the first start will be R 1, force of the second start will be R 2 dash plus R 2 double dash, force of the third start will be R 3 dash plus R 3 double dash, and force of the fourth start will be R 4. So, then we can determine what is the forces of different starts level. This is one method, and then we can determine what would be the moment, maximum moment at this lateral support also. So, those things, so we will discuss, and for this is for UDL sand, for the clay we will get different type of variation. So, those things I will discuss how to calculate these forces in the next class with some example problem. Thank you.